doing my life ever deserve this. I never really thought about it. Now I know that heaven exists. 'Cause I saw an angel that fell down from the sky. Not faced in a beautiful way. In those beautiful thighs.
Nice to meet ya. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We got a bass tonight. A beautiful fashionista. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I like that. This was a story a few weeks ago, but I gotta tell it because there is a thing now out called the Fat Kini. Of
Yay,
course,
Fat Kini.
Can I get
Sierra and I always knew about Fat Kinis.
We've had Fat Kinis for a while. As a matter of fact, I've worn one into almost non-existence.
Oh, it's like very thin. But anyway, it was a collaboration between the plus size blogger and Gabby Gregg. Gabby Gregg is her name. They designed these, and it's actually a bikini. It's a fat kini with a full size bottom and the bikini top. And what happened? They were selling the retailers, Swimsuits for All, who was selling the fat kini when it came out. They could not keep it in style, and it sold out like within 48
stock.
hours. In stock. What did I say? Style?
Yeah.
Stock. So it comes in sizes 4 to 24, which I have an issue of because it should go bigger, but that's just my little issue. But they're saying now that they are stocked and well to go, so you could go to swimsuitsforall.com and check it out and see what they have. And they want you, a few little tips that they gave on this article for finding a fat kitty that fits you. Don't worry about the size, worry about the fit, because everybody's worried about, oh my God, I'm wearing a 20 instead of a 14. Who the fuck cares?
Right.
Okay, nobody's going to know that.
We were discussing something about that earlier. I'm not. Remind me, and I'll.
Okay. Choose a comfortable suit because the styles are slightly different with the pants, and don't hide yourself under a cover-up because you don't need to do that.
No,
Right.
and as a matter of fact, when you try to wear a tank bikini where the top is like a t-shirt rather than a whatever, it almost makes you look, in my opinion, like.
Well, first of all, I think tankinis on a fat chick are horrible because it's going to roll because you've got that little bit, unless your belly's big enough to hold it out there. But more than not, I see fat chicks in a tankini that become a fat kini because it just rolls up on its own. So
Yeah.
I think it's terrible. All right, few good bargain buys for you this week. Torrid, buy one bra, get the second at half price. If you buy 3 panties, you get 3 panties free.
Oh, damn. That's a buy one, get one.
That's it. And online, 25% off any regular price or clearance price items. Ashley Stewart has their Sassy Weekend Steals, up to 75%. This is in-store and online for select clearance styles. And then online, you get 30% off for any purchases over $100. So that's a good deal. $70 for $100 worth of product. Lay and Bryant this weekend, 30% off summer dresses, and all tops are 50% off.
Ooh.
Cool.
There's your fashionista report.
So what did you want to add to that?
No, we were just one of his family members. We're actually gonna go get in the pool and do a little light stuff tomorrow. That the doctor told him he could.
Water
Just
aerobics.
no.
Yeah,
bi-
one of
no
the
bicycling.
questions in chat, we were discussing during the break, if we were telling Daniel if he got tired, he could just leave. We were okay with that. And Mama said, let me know if you get tired, we're going to go. And he says, no, we're doing nasty stuff later tonight.
No, that's not what he said. He said, we're fucking tonight.
Oh, we're fucking tonight. And so Sierra told our online chat, for those of you who are just listening, you can go to SinCityBounty and watch the show and join the chat. So Sierra told Wendy of Neverland in chat that he was planning on doing something nastier tonight. And Wendy of Neverland wants to know if you have doctor's clearance to do that.
Do you care if you have doctor's clearance? to do
Not
that?
really. I went for a walk this morning. Doctor said I can walk.
Oh, by the way, speaking of his walk this morning, let me tell my other little story real quick first.
Before she
We went
starts
to
beating on you.
go do the water aerobics. That's what we were talking about, so I don't forget. One of his siblings went to go get some stuff, and it was really hard for her. And I talked to him. I was like, she really has an issue with being a big girl. She will go through 10 shirts at extra large, let's say, to find the stretchiest one that she can fit her body into instead of just going to the one or the two. And I think I told him, I said, I think she has an issue with that
The number,
numbers on
yeah.
there, and it's just terrible. But yeah, anyway, back to the walking. He went for a walk this morning to walk across the street to the store, and
I took my son.
one of the ladies, one of the first people that were there to help me was a neighbor. And my kids and the family, we kind of have become a like an extended like a family. They're kind of like a little bit of family to us. The daughter at one point was watching the kids, and the kids, you know, back and forth have spent the night, and we get invited to barbecues and Santa Claus events and all kind of shit. So she was one of the first ones. She came running over when she saw all the ambulances, because I think there was about 5. And she ended up taking the kids the first night, and she saw him. She came out of the house in her nightgown and started crying.
Aww.
And it was like really, yeah, very touching. He's like, she just lost it. She saw me and just started crying.
I saw who we call Grandpa. That's what everyone calls him, Grandpa.
Yeah.
So I saw Grandpa, and I'm walking by, and as I'm walking by, I raise my hand. I slow down because I figured he's going to talk to me. He raised his hand back at me, kind of like in disbelief, like, what the fuck are you doing here?
It's a ghost.
And he said he got up and
DJ's haunting the neighborhood.
he walked out. It's like, shook my hand and said, yeah. Next thing you know, his son comes walking out. I says, dude. And then his mom comes out in her nightgown and she says, oh my God. So it was, yeah, we did a little bit of catch up, but
I'll tell you, we had prayers and spells and candles and everything on the planet across this country for you.
There isn't a God in existence who hasn't heard your
Right.
name in
Your
the
name.
last 7 days.
And I mean, I posted your family portrait, and I
see,
had people
if
from
you wanted
Michigan.
me to come out quicker, you just had to have Mama put her mouth on my cock, and I would have been right the fuck up.
We know.
Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Mouth
Yeah,
to
but it was
cock.
doesn't work.
Wait a minute, but it was frozen at one point.
Right, it was
That's
frozen.
called a popsicle.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, we all posted on our boards to help pray or whatever with our friend, and I mean, I know myself, and I've seen you guys' posts from all over the world, not just
Yes,
the country,
everywhere.
I was surprised.
everywhere. And you know what?
Everywhere.
I happen to be a believer in a higher being, and I happen to believe in God, and everybody has their belief, but I was like calling on everybody and every religion
It
and
didn't
every
matter.
belief. It didn't matter, whatever it takes for our friend.
It was so cute this morning. We did something else amazing too that kind of helped keep the kids assuring the kids was absolutely amazing. We have FaceTime on our phones.
Right.
And they could not all go visit, but I figured it out, and we did FaceTime, and just the kids to be able to see his face when they're talking to him, and they could see it, you know, and little mom was like, what's that in your neck? What's that in your what's that on your head? You know, she was just asking him all kind of questions, and it was like reassuring. It was absolutely the coolest thing ever. I think that, you know, I don't know.
I would have never told you this a week ago or even 5 days ago, but when I had gone over to Sierra's house to drop her son off with your kids, and I was leaving to come to the hospital, your second one, the boy,
Donald.
said to me, I didn't know if you want me to say
Oh,
his
it's
name
okay.
on air.
There you go.
He said to me as I was walking out, he said, they knew I was going to the hospital to see you, and they said, he says, I hope I have a daddy later today. And I looked at him and I said, you know, buddy, we're not thinking like that, because your daddy needs nothing but good thoughts.
Well,
So
I went home at one point, and the little one, they're looking, Dad. And I was like, Daddy's not here. Daddy's sick. And well, what's wrong with him? Has he got a cold or what? And then I'm like, no.
Forrest Gump,
I
cough
said-
to the cold.
I said, no. No, his heart is sick. And I said, but they're working on him, and he's going to get better. We're going to be all right. And she, all of a sudden, she got this big, huge smile. And she says, yes, my daddy's going to be alive.
Oh, how funny.
And
Well,
she took off running.
I got a funny story. Now, you all know our friend Dr. J, the veterinarian who's been in studio. She's a friend of all of ours. Well, I watched her little girl, and I had my grandson, and we were in the car. And they and
I love this story.
This is a great story. And they were asking me about Mr. Daniel, and I was telling them that Mr. Daniel has a sick heart, and the doctors are working on it to make it better. And little Ryland said, "Well, what does your heart do?" And I was explaining, and Elizabeth, the veterinarian's daughter, says, "I know what Mr. Daniel has." I said, "What?" "He has a heartworm." So you know what? I think this was not only a growing experience for all of us, but all of our children really went through it with us. They seen us crying. They seen us upset.
Well, because
And,
there's a lot of times people just think that we're just here and we talk shit and whatever else, and you see us here and there at the club, but we actually have we actually spend a lot of time at each other's houses, and the kids, our kids spend a lot of time with each other. We have dinners and meetings and
Swimming and
stuff like that. So the kids
dinosaurs.
actually we're actually like a little family kind of.
We're even more a family now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really feel
Yeah.
like that.
The night I went to see you in the hospital when I had the iPad out that you remember, somebody with the yellow tablet, I came home and picked up the boy from Sweet Cheek's house. She was watching him for me. And I got home and we were getting ready to get in bed. And just before he goes to bed, he said, "Mama." I said, "Yes." He goes, "Is Mr. Daniel okay?" I said, "Mr. Daniel's doing much better and he'll be out of the hospital very, very soon." And he said, "Okay, good. When can they come over and sleep over?"
His little niece, one of his sisters, came from Nebraska. Since we're talking about the kid stories, absolutely. When he was growing up, we covered that with his, having all the kids and stuff. So his mom made a lot of stuff homemade. Well, one of the things that they make homemade is homemade syrup for your pancakes, and it's basically a simple syrup. Maple flavored simple syrup, and all the kids like it, and it's hot and they love it over their stuff. So his one little niece is
2 cups water, 3 cups sugar.
Here you go.
Yeah, and I tried to give your son on his
for
waffle
5 minutes and a half teaspoon bacon.
Right.
At 7
Wait a
minutes.
minute. And they come for breakfast at my house, and they had waffles, and I squirt the syrup on it, and Donald says, "Is this syrup hot?"
But his one little niece said, I guess they made we don't know, but if he ends up going to heaven, be okay. Well, she said, "Well, who's gonna make my syrup for me?" I guess Aunt Charlotte will just have to make it. So the only thing she was worried about is her syrup.
Well, my grandson, I guess, I had called my daughter and said, "Can Sierra drop her little boy over so she can come up at the hospital?" This was Saturday night. So my daughter got a phone and she was talking to somebody and said, "Daniel had a heart attack, blah, blah, blah." Well, the next morning, my grandson didn't see her son sleeping on the couch in the front room. He comes running and he thought it was his little friend, Daniel, Sierra's son, that had a sick heart. So we had to explain, no, it's Mr. Daniel. And so he was all, worried that it was little Daniel. Yeah. So we had to clear that up. Well, didn't Cali guy, because you text, have the same thing?
I sent him
Sorry.
Mama?
Sorry.
That's all right. So you sent Cali guy.
I sent Cali guy a voicemail, and I was, kind of broken up about it, and I was like, "Hey, Daniel's in the hospital and had a heart attack, and and I need you to call me back as soon as you can." He calls me back. He's like, "Is everything okay? Is it your Daniel?" I said, "No, it's not my Daniel. It's
Mr.
Daniel. It's Mama's husband." And he was like, "Thank God. Next time though, please be a little more specific
as to which Daniel it was." Yeah.
Yeah. So he was, man, Cali guy. I'd love for him to get in here and talk about his experience with it, because you and him you guys are friends. You're pretty close, especially when he's out here. You guys are talking all the time, and you have a lot of the same interests, and you're both very physically fit, and it just floored him that you could have a heart attack like this.
What? For the longest, just like driving to the hospital and getting there, like I could not wrap my head around the thought that you had a heart attack. It was like a dream. It really was, because you could have given me a list of anybody on the planet, or if somebody said make a list of the top 10 people, you'd have been, gazillion that I would ever expect it. So I was so hard to wrap my head around. And when I walked in the room and seen you there, it was like, whoa, this is real. It was tough to imagine.
It was really hard to see one of the strongest guys we know at his absolute
And you know
weakest
what?
point.
Well, I
It
don't
was
know if a
tough.
lot of you guys know this, but DJ is like all of our protectors.
He is.
When we go to the club, if he sees some man getting inappropriate with us, you always see Daniel 2 or 3 steps away, just
puffs
kind of
his chest up.
yeah.
as he's
And well,
walking
and he's great because he just stands close enough to where if you needed him quick, he could be there, and you always know he's there. I remember one guy was getting out of hand with me, and he goes, "You need some help?" So to see our protector and our friend and somebody that we love and care about to be that vulnerable,
It was
hard.
It was nothing. I had to come to terms with it was nobody's fault. It was
No, you can't blame
no, no,
anybody
no,
because
it
it just happened,
it's
right?
nobody's
Yeah.
fault. I mean, it's not like it was not because I had built up cholesterol.
Right.
It wasn't because I was, I was slathering myself. I was taking baths in bacon grease.
Right.
Okay, it had nothing to do with that.
You could have been doing all
And
that and
thank
still had the heart
God,
attack.
Yeah.
thank God you had it when and where you did.
One
Mama
day.
was there. I mean, you could have been out with the little ones and it happened. And then there's,
whole nother
that's a
set of
whole
issues.
nother story. So thank God if it had to happen. And I happen to believe, and at one point Mama said to me, why is this happening? And I said, I don't know, but life just fucking sucks. And it's not fair. But I know this. I know that God can take something really, really bad and make it something good. And I said, I know this, that I've never known anybody to have as many prayers going up. So
Well, also too, something else that we learned because of finding out about the family history, his 2 of the uncles and his cousin have also had heart attacks, and part of the time when they were down, what they remembered that helped them like come around was people saying that touching them and saying I love you. And initially I was like, wake up, I need you to tell me what to do.
Mama was pretty
Just wake
broken
up. And then they were like, don't do that. And I was just like, I don't know, I probably said I love you and touched him probably 10,000 times. I was just like, the more I do it, the more I just said, I couldn't think of nothing else to say because I was like, wake up, tell me what bill to pay, or tell me what, tell me something, tell me to go take my medicine. I just wanted him to wake up. But they were saying don't do that because it stresses him out and it makes it stress.
they
So
try to work too hard to
if-
come
if
back if they
try to
hear
work
that.
too hard
Okay.
to come out, shake it off kind of thing, and that can put stress on them. You just need to be calm and tell them you love them and whatever else. So if anybody goes through that, then that's kind of what you need to do. There's actually 2 of his uncles and his cousin have said that that's what they remember while they were out, is people
Wow.
telling them they love them and stuff.
I've heard that the sound of laughter will go just the absolute farthest. And when you're in a hospital room with somebody who's unconscious or semi-conscious, the sound of laughter is what will
Well,
bring
and
them
Dr.
back.
J had told me when I told her about that little fight I had to have with the nurse that morning who told me he can't hear you.
Yeah.
I had to put her in her place. I don't know if you heard the story. I told it earlier. I went and I was there about 9 a.m. and
Was
nobody.
the one we had an issue with?
No.
No,
Okay.
it was a different one. I got there at 9 a.m. and Mama and
Well, there's
your
one we
sisters
had
weren't
an
there.
issue with for a couple days in a
Well,
row.
I walked in there and you were still all on the respirator, everything. It was like maybe it was Monday morning, and I said to you, I said, "Hey, Daddy, Mama's okay, and the kids are having fun, and you just need to, get better." And I was, telling you your family was okay, and she says, "He's paralyzed. He can't hear you."
I think I heard that.
And I did one of these.
I think I have a slight.
And
tick
I
on the brain
said
on
to
that
her,
one.
I said, you know what? It makes us feel a lot better to talk to him. I said, and if there's a teeny chance that he can hear me, I need him to know that his family's taken care of and they're safe and we love them. And then she was really nice to me after that. But yeah, I couldn't imagine.
But other than that incident
She was
and
the only one,
incident that you
yeah.
guys had,
she was the
so.
only one at the hospital that wasn't.
I'm gonna admit something that I wasn't going to, but to be completely honest, when I got the call from Charlotte, Mama, that Daniel had gone to the hospital in an ambulance, my first thought went to Mama. And I love you, DJ, I do. And I'm sorry that you were in the hospital, but
Thank
my
you.
concern was with Mama
So was mine.
and how she was dealing with things. And so that's why I
That's why
dropped
you were
everything
the first one there, yeah.
and went to the hospital. And throughout that, I didn't want her to be alone. Sierra volunteered to stay over with her so she wasn't alone. And whether you survived or not,
We just got finished talking about this.
right?
Yeah.
It's mama that has to
Yes.
deal with everything that comes on. So my strength was for her. And
I hope and pray that through this experience that she will learn to put her underwear on by herself.
and you know what? That's when we come back from this big break, I want to talk about the things that you didn't know what to do. Like we
Like
talked
the
a little
Witch
bit about
Bill.
it for. We'll talk about the ice again, in case of emergency kit.
Oh,
And-
and I still need to talk to Wendy.
Right.
You can get to that
Wendy,
later.
you are very much
You are
he
needed.
needs your counsel, Wendy. It's very serious business. So we'll get
Definitely.
on it after our break. It's serious counsel business, Wendy. So get ready.
So you're listening to the Curvaceous Bounty of Sin City on VegasAllNetRadio.com and streaming live video over at SinCityBounty.com. Hey, you can find all of our archives on iTunes, over at YouTube. Go to our website. There's links to everything there. We have been talking about Daniel's heart attack this week and what it does to family, friends, and the things that you can do around it. And when we come back, we've got more stuff to talk about, lots of things we want to cover, so don't go away.
Catch-ups.
We're going to stop the recording so we can play regular music. So hold on.
With your favorite BBW girls on Twitter. Go to BBW Girl Tweet